Hello and welcome back, everybody. This is Grillenheimer. Thanks for coming back. Thanks for following. Again, I want to try to make this as short as I can. I just recorded one video and it went 30 minutes, and I don't want 30-minute sermons here. I want this to be as short as I can. And the funny thing is that my previous video about doubt and faith and making decisions, etc. And I went into the current fad that's going on right now. I recorded that a little over a week ago, uploaded it earlier this last week, and then had church this morning, and our pastor, it was like having deja vu. I'm like, oh my gosh, has he listened to my video? Hopefully not. But it might be in the same vein of what he's talking about in the theme he's going for, because he is in the letter of James, and that's where we did start. So maybe I did pull some of that from him. I didn't think so, but I could have. But the letter of James almost goes back to about 40 to 50 A.D. It is one of the first books written from the New Testament that we have found. And it very, very possibly could be written from the half-brother of Jesus. And in the letter of James, he doesn't really mention him as his half-brother. He mentions Jesus as his Messiah. And some people say there is a bit of a contradiction, but our pastor's like, no, I think this actually complements the other Gospels very well. And at the same time, it's like Matthew 21, 18 through 22 is heavily the influence of this letter. So let's look at Matthew 21, 18 through 22 super quick. Now in the morning when he returned to the city, he became hungry, and seeing a lone fig tree by the road, he came to it and found nothing on it except leaves only. And he said to it, no longer shall there ever be any fruit from you. And at once the fig tree withered. And seeing this, his disciples marveled, saying, how did the fig tree wither all at once? And Jesus answered and said to them, truly I say to you, if you have faith and do not doubt, you shall not only do what was done to the fig tree, but even if you say to this mountain, be taken up and cast into the sea, it shall happen. And all things you ask in prayer, believing, you shall receive. So, going back to the letter of James, chapter 1, I mean, it's in the same vein. It's heavily influenced, and I can see what the pastor is talking about here. Let's go chapter James 1 and start with verse 2. Consider it all joy, my brothers, when you encounter various trials, knowing that the testing of your faith produces endurance. And let endurance have its perfect result, that you may be perfect and complete, lacking in nothing. But if any of you lacks wisdom, let him ask of God, who gives it to all men generously and without reproach, and it will be given to him. But let him ask in faith, without any doubting. For the one who doubts is like the surf of the sea, driven and tossed by the wind. For let not that man expect that he will receive anything from the Lord. So, we can ask the Lord of healing. We can ask the Lord of direction, of wisdom, or whatever we think we're needing at that time. But if you don't believe, if you have any doubt, then your faith is somewhat broken, and you may not be granted your request from the Lord in prayer. You have to believe fully. And in all things you ask in prayer, believing, underline that, you shall receive. So you can't have any doubt. In which this very much mirrors the video I just put out about doubt and deception and decision making and having faith. This is the extra icing on the cake that I was missing. This is wisdom. When in doubt, ask the Lord for wisdom to get you through, because we're all going to have trials, and that's what the letter of James is really all about, is about trials, about, things that we're going to go through the human experience. We may not all have the same experiences, but we're all going to go through, we're each going to have our struggles. Nobody is without tragedy. Nobody. Nobody is privileged enough to not have tragedy. Think about that. The world is trying to tell us different. So, look at verse 5. I feel like I'm kind of stealing from my pastor here, and I apologize. But he gives us the problem, he gives us a solution, and then he gives us a promise. If any of you lacks wisdom, there's the problem. And of course, this is not just to Gentiles. This isn't just to people that don't believe. These are to believers. These are to apostles and disciples that are in other countries, that are traveled, that are trying to spread the gospel. In as early Christianity, they are having their doubts. And James is telling them, don't have doubts. When in doubt, seek wisdom. When in doubt, seek God. Pray to him without any doubts, in full faith, and the wisdom will come. God will answer you to get through whatever trial of spreading the gospel you're having at the moment. And we can apply this to any trial that we endure as individuals. And just as I mentioned in that previous video about doubt, that was heavily influenced by a girl that was forced to transition and detransition back and was saved at the age of 21, which is in the link of that video. Please check it out. If any of you lacks wisdom, ask God, who gives to men generously and without reproach, and it will be given to them. So if the problem is lacking wisdom, the solution is asking God for it. And the promise is that he will give it. But how do we do that? We have to ask, we have to pray with faith without any doubts. That's the trick, because we all have doubts on the validity of God. The world is trying to bring us down, trying to say that the Bible is a myth, but yet you check, the Watchmen, ABR, and all these other people in the archaeology, that how much they are finding that is affirming a lot of the Bible. Stuff that we have believed as Christians on faith alone, and that's all you need. So if we are lacking in wisdom, we are lacking understanding. And that's what our pastor did today, was define wisdom. And I kind of did that to some extent in my last video, saying that it's not just knowledge. And he even mentioned that it's not intellectual. It's not how intellectual you are compared to other people. It's not the amount of knowledge you have compared to any other people. Because guess what? We all have cell phones. We can all find out every movie that Tom Holland has acted in, or every episode that, Andy Griffith has ever done, or movie and show, and Don Knotts and celebrities that have come and passed away, and find out their career and repertoire in IMDb or something, or definitions and things that we're looking for is right here at the tip of our fingers. But if knowledge is power, wisdom is direction. But he defined wisdom from what another pastor told him, and he felt this very valid. The Spirit-given ability to see life or discern from a divine perspective. And this isn't, I think that's a pretty good definition, especially concerning trials. And trials, like I said, tragedy, all of us, every one of us is going to go through tragedy, whether it's physical or mental or health, spiritual, sexual. No matter how the world is trying to hold you by the hand and say, this is okay, come with me. Go to God. Don't have doubts. Pray and say, Lord, I have this, I know that. I need discernment. I pray for wisdom. Help me light the direction in which I need to take for whatever you're going through. And I think this is key. And our pastor was good about talking about this, but I think he beat around the bush a little too much. But this is why I love our pastor so much. So, where should we put our trust? In the world? Because the world is going to hold your hand, and it'll take you and help pressure you into certain ways to where if you don't do what the world says, it's going to eat you up and spit you out and consume you. Because the world eats its own. It's like a fire. What fire do you want to burn? Burn the passion for the Lord. Put all your faith in Him first and see what trials you can actually endure and get through and get to the finish line. But if you follow the world and feed its passions, it's almost destructive in nature. And there may never be a finish line because they're going to show that golden carrot to get to the next point, and you're going to keep chasing that golden carrot no matter how much money you may amass or no matter where you go. There's always something new. There's always something else. But with the Lord, there's just the finish line. Wow, I don't know where that came from. But let's go to Proverbs 3, verses 5 and 6. I think we looked at this last video. I mean, the sermon today at church, it was like I'm having deja vu. It's like I'm watching my video from last week. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and do not lean on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge Him, and He will make your path straight. So don't lean on the world. Lean on the Lord. Lean on our Messiah. Only through Him can we truly, with blessings, with grace, with thanksgiving, with believing and having the faith, and without any doubt that Jesus was the Messiah, without any doubt He died for us and His blood wiped off our sin, without any doubt. He rose 3 days later, talked to His disciples again, and talked to over 1,000 more people in the blood and flesh before he ascended again. Without any doubt. He comes to every one of us with open arms. And we can come to Him and ask for help and ask for wisdom of discernment, which is knowing the difference between good and evil, because right now the world has this backwards, that good is evil and evil is good. Let's do it this way. That's why we have to go to God and get the blinders and the logs taken out of our eyes to realize, oh my gosh, this has been wrong this whole time. What am I doing? Who am I listening to? Who am I following? Where's my focus? I'm putting the wrong material in the fire. Because what have I said in a previous video? Normally, you burn, the color of the fire depends on what you are burning. Whether it's even wood or chemical or plastic or something, it changes the color of the fire. The more you continue to put a different material in the fire, it's going to glow a different color. And that symbolizes our lifestyles. And at some point, you got to realize, if I want this fire to continue, I got to put wood on it. It's got to be good old-fashioned wood, and keep it orange, keep it hot. Keep going to the Lord, to that fire on that mountain. In all your ways acknowledge Him, and He will make your path straight. And our pastor did mention about this, and I had this proverb. It was one of my favorite verses in the Bible about Him keeping our path straight, and I've always kept this in mind since I was very young. And I didn't quite understand it until the pastor mentioned this. He's like, well, make your paths straight assumes there's another path, which means the other path isn't straight. It's more chaotic. It's akin to the sea in James 1:6. Being in the ocean without a boat, bobbing all over the water. Yeah, that's chaotic. That you can't live a lifestyle or a life that is that chaotic. It's destructive. It will lead to nowhere. But if you follow the Lord and ask for wisdom and ask for discernment and pray to Him without a doubt and with all faith in your heart, He will illuminate the path in which you need to go. It may look straight if you draw it on paper, but you look at it isometrically, you're going to see all the rocks and the mountains and the valleys and everywhere you got to go. And it may look straight from above, but once you're going through that straight line, it's not going to be an easy road, but it's going to be easier than chaos. Because if that path isn't straight, you're going to be going every which way, up cliffs, down cliffs, and it can be, again, destructive. It's beautiful metaphors which can reflect on how we live our life. So if Proverbs 3:5 is telling us not to lean on our understanding, if we are supposed to be praying to the Lord for wisdom to help to understand the individual trials we are going through, then it's going to be 1 Kings 3:9. It's going to help illuminate this and hopefully help me to finish this up. So give thy servant an understanding heart, a heart of wisdom, a heart of to judge the people, to discern between what? Good and evil. For who is able to judge this great people of thine? Being able to discern and have the wisdom to know what is righteous and what is unrighteous, what is good, what is wrong. And like I said a second ago, the world has got this backwards. And that's why we're the targets. Kind of like in Star Wars, when after the Clone Wars, they made it out that the Jedi were the bad guys after the chaos of the Clone Wars, with the battles raging all over the galaxy and all spread very thin. And when it came about that the Emperor showed himself, and he's like, "These are the bad guys. Can't you see? They attacked me." And so now with a world upside down that is not helping the Christian lifestyle whatsoever, all of a sudden we're the bad guys. So, if I can find James real quick again, which I don't know if I can. Golly, it's right here, and I didn't have my marker on here. But it's about being double-minded, and basically, don't be double-minded, don't be confused, don't be unstable. And in the true Greek, our pastor mentioned that the word can literally mean drunk, not just double-minded. So in our understanding, in our trials, no matter what you're going through right now, don't doubt. Have faith. And if you are God-fearing, when in doubt, search for wisdom, but His wisdom. I think that's key. I want to say thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. I've got to go. Thanks again. Blessed be the word of the Lord that was read today. Thank you for following. We'll see you next time. Shalom and amen. Well, thanks a lot. Grillenheimer. Peace out.